We are up to day 177 of going through my old journal, and the quote for today says, "Ability may get you to the top, but it takes character to keep you there." If you took a character test right now, how would you score? What would be your strengths and weaknesses? So if you're following along, just pause and take a minute to think about how you might respond to this, and I will read what I wrote. I said, I don't know. I've always felt like I've been so we're talking about character. Okay, I said, I don't know. I've always felt like I've had a pretty good character. Then again, maybe I feel that way because it's what I was told as a child. Since I was shy and never wanted to cause trouble, adults would always say I was nice and a good kid. And I've been watching some YouTube videos about narcissism. I've been looking into it for several years because about a decade ago, I came to the realization that my dad is a narcissist, likely a narcissist. And then, my sister had watched some videos and, had pointed out that when you have a narcissistic parent, there's often these roles that are assigned to the kids. And they normally talk about when you have multiple siblings, the golden child and the scapegoat. So, my sister would always, and even me, I was like, okay, well, I guess if you have a golden child and a scapegoat, I would have been the golden child and she would have been the scapegoat. But I've been watching some more videos, and I'm wondering if it wasn't so much that I was the golden child, but I guess there's another child, another type that they call the peacemaker. And I feel like that may be more what I was playing, because I didn't really get a lot of extra benefits. I guess with the golden child, they normally you'll get better clothes, and you'll get, your parents will spend more money on you and give you more attention and give you more opportunities to do things. But I feel like for the most part with things like that, we were treated pretty equally. I mean, a lot of times, even though we were 2 years apart, we would get the same gifts. I remember several Christmases where our gifts from Santa would be the same thing. We would get exactly the same thing. And I don't really feel like I was treated different in that regard, but my difference was that I wasn't verbally punished as much, but at the same time I also wasn't speaking up for myself. Whenever I would get in trouble, I would just take it because I hated conflict, and so I would do whatever I needed to do to stop the conflict. And sometimes I would even tell my sister, I know he's being ridiculous, but just, if you want to calm him down, just say okay, And so I feel like I was more a peacemaker in that sense. I didn't want to get in trouble. I didn't want to get punished. I didn't like people being angry around me. So I would try whatever I could do to keep that from happening. And in that sense, I was always said, oh, you're nice and you're good, but I'm I really was just shy and just didn't want trouble around me. So I said, but I don't know. I think I was good, but how much of that was on my own accord and how much of it was just me being obedient? Something that's had me... Okay, let me see if I may have ruined about the narcissist stuff in here. I said, something that's had me second guess my character in recent years has been the way that people talk about my mother. A lot of people describe her as being so sweet and kind, and in a lot of ways she is, when she wants to be. In other ways she can be pretty stubborn and selfish. Sometimes I wonder if that's how I come across. Sweet and kind by default just because I'm relatively quiet and don't like to argue, but actually stubborn and selfish and too set in my ways. In any case, I don't really associate with many people, so I don't think it really matters that much. I don't have and don't plan to have any children that could be damaged by a bad character, so at this point in my life, I'm not too worried about it, but overall I do try to be a good person. So yeah, I would agree with that, you know, but that's how a lot of people describe my mom. Oh, she's so sweet, she's so nice. But a lot of these people don't really know her that well. And she is, like, I think she has a good heart, like, deep down. But she also, I think, doesn't like conflict either. And so it is easy for certain people to take advantage of her. And I've talked about this before. That's part of the reasons that I've kind of distanced myself from her, is because she wants to avoid conflict, but so she ends up like taking the side of the people who are not the best people at the expense of like me and my sister, or, you know, family or whatever. And so I don't like, I'm not mad at her. I'm not like, I don't think she's like a terrible person, but at the same time, I don't like being involved in all the drama that causes. So I've just separated myself from it. And so, yeah, but she also doesn't let too many people get that close to her. And I'm kind of similar in that regard. But I don't know. I don't really know what my character is at this point. I think that's why I'm doing this, is to try to like figure things out and see, but I don't know. And I've talked about it before, like on the one hand, I do like want to see good things happen for people. I don't like seeing people that are like hurt or struggling. But at the same time, there's a lot of times that like I don't really know what I can do to help or how I can help. And like sometimes if helping people would put stress on me, I would like maybe try to avoid it. And also, like I've talked about in the past, there has been times that I've tried to help people and I have been taken advantage of. So at this point, I'm just kind of keeping to myself and working to hopefully build, I don't know, some skills or something that I can use to make a difference. But I don't know, the older I get and how messed up I see the world is, it just seems like way too much. And this book, oh my god, this book, like I talked about in my last video that I've been reading, it's really, really making me think about like how powerless like a lot of people are to actually like make a substantial change for all the problems, for all the people that are going on, because that's basically a lot of people in this book. It takes place, like the part I'm reading right now, they're in Appalachia and they're like interviewing people that live in this area. And basically these people feel pretty powerless. Like they know that things are messed up. Everybody knows what the problems are, but the people that have tried to like stand up and speak out, like historically, since there were like coal mines and union, you know, fights and things like that with the coal miners and the union and the coal companies, like everything's just been kind of squashed anytime they've tried to like bring about change. And it sounds like that's still, at least if this was in the 90s, it was still happening. And when people would try to stand up, like they would lose their jobs and all their family would like just be hurt by it. So people just kind of like try to get by as best they can. And so that's kind of like where I'm torn, like, well, should I just try to get by as best I can because everything's too big to make a difference? Or, you know, what can I do to help? But also, I just read a story in this book of these women that it didn't take much. Like, really, they're still poor and they're still struggling, but they kind of have hope because maybe just one person, like, came to them and was like, you know, you can get out of this, like, you know, gave them some guidance as to some of the things they could maybe do just to make their situation a little bit better. So I'm like, you know, maybe that's the way you go. You don't try to have this big change. Maybe just try to have a change in like one person's life that can, you know, affect them. So I don't know. I guess I didn't address like that part where it says what would be your strengths and weaknesses. I don't know. I guess my biggest weakness would be confidence. I don't have like enough confidence in myself to think that I can really do too much or do anything. But anyway, and I guess going back to the quote, it says ability may get you to the top, but it's character that keeps you there. I think there are people that do get to the top just from their ability, but you see a lot of these like businesses that I see a lot of these big businesses that are definitely, they're on the path to failure because they're exploiting people, and they may get their position because they've used like power to get to where they are, but if you don't have the respect that comes with that, then I don't know what I'm getting at. I don't know. I'm still working out my thoughts on all this and everything. But I guess like one thing that I've been seeing come up on TikTok a lot is there's a lot of people that own, especially like small businesses, that are complaining that like, well, nobody wants to work these days. Nobody wants to work. I can't find any good workers. And then, so like this video went kind of viral on TikTok of this girl talking about, her mom was talking about that. And her mom owns a landscaping business. And she just keeps talking about how all these workers are just so terrible. And she can't keep any good workers, can't find them. And the girl was like, well, how much are you paying them? Oh, well, I'm paying them $12 an hour. And her daughter was like, I can't help you find good workers. Like the mom was wanting her to help market her business to try to like attract good workers. And she was like, you're not paying them enough to be out doing the stuff that you're having, you know, your crew do, you know, and also, you know, there's still that mindset from back in the day of like, I'm the boss and you do what I say and you're my worker, and almost like I own you because I'm your boss. And there's some like millennial bosses that are coming on TikTok and being like, it's not that hard to keep good workers if you respect them and you understand that they're people too, and they're trying to live and get by just like you are. And I've noticed this in other jobs as well. Like when you have managers that respect you, a lot of people respect them, and they will stay at jobs that they're not making as much money because, you know, they feel like they're respected and that the people actually care about them and what happens to them. And so yeah, I think the good character of good bosses does like kind of keep them at the top and make them even more successful in the long run. That's just my thoughts from what I've seen in my own personal life and kind of like what I'm seeing go on right now. But yeah, anyway, that's what I had on that one, and I will be back tomorrow with day 178.